My name is Rafael De Jesus, and this is my video 2 for Innovation and Technology, summary of my final draft. My paper has to deal with the inevitability of technology within the healthcare industry, the much needed collaboration among stakeholders within the healthcare industry, the decision-making models that are out there now, from traditional all the way to health technology assessments, and the concerns I have regarding sustainability for future state of the healthcare environment. So the first thing I talk about is the fact that healthcare has been using technologies for a long time. I actually mentioned that in the paper, with monitoring equipment and those type of devices, anything that was electronic. But now with the policies like ACA, Affordable Care Act of 2010, technologies, new innovative technologies are being introduced to the healthcare environment at a rapid rate. Some of that, as you see in the video with Theranos, technologies like that are entering so fast, they really haven't been properly assessed or analyzed for their value add or their benefit to patients. And we see that that's pretty common in IT, from my perspective anyway, where new innovative technologies are introduced to the system so fast that we really never had a chance to assess whether or not that's something we need. So imagine spending $100,000 on an application, and because the Affordable Care Act or some government policy that's driving these initiatives is telling you, hey, you need this, and in 5 years you find it's only been used 4 times. Yet you spent $100,000 for the application and whatever licensing fees are applicable to that particular application over the course of 5 years. There's not a lot of value add. So systems like that really intrigues me. So I talk about how technology is here to stay, and it's going to continue being utilized by the healthcare industry as a means to leverage the technologies to be able to achieve goals that are set forth for this new healthcare culture change. And that's a paradigm shift from the patient to the system back to the patient again, as we saw in the video, the 360 transformation. So I also talk about the need for collaboration. So understanding that at national and regional levels, decision making that's done at that level impacts us differently at an operational single setting level. And we need, as healthcare professionals, to understand that collaboration across all levels within the healthcare system or an environment needs to happen. You have a clinical side of the house and an operational side of the house. They need to actually sit down and collaborate to make sure we achieve appropriate goals under these policies that are guiding healthcare service delivery today, towards patient centeredness. So I talk about that in detail, talking about enabling transparent, collaborative conduits are going to become effective models for us to actually introduce effective and efficient systems within an organization. Followed by how the healthcare environment is changing altogether based on the collaborations that we have with stakeholders. What do we expect to see? I really delve into the decision-making methodologies as an IS manager. I have ambitions to one day be a decision maker, someone that will influence decisions within an organization for technological innovations. And I see that understanding those decision-making methodologies is very important. So there are several types, from traditional all the way through up-and-coming or new methods that take traditional and healthcare technology assessments, for instance, and combine the two to actually produce research-based decision-making. I think that's very important. I remember when I first came into the IS industry, decisions were made pretty fast in a hurry with not a lot of data to support them. And that even happens today, where people make decisions based on assumptions. I don't really operate with assumptions. I really look at facts to drive those decisions, and I really delve into those decision-making methodologies in the paper just to elaborate on how effective that is when you build a model that the organization can follow and to be able to achieve these goals. Then I in addition to adding several models there for review, I jump into, for me, which is the biggest concern. You have IT, that's inevitable in healthcare now, because we're leveraging that to be able to achieve goals. The much needed collaboration of stakeholders across all levels within the healthcare environment, and appropriate decision-making models to be able to effectively choose and make informed decisions within the healthcare environment. But for me, the most important piece of this is the sustainability. One of the papers that we read that Dr. Hess provided us really looked into that sustainability and the concerns of sustainability for future state. There's not a lot of research done on that. And that to me is where I'm really intrigued, where you can have a great model for decision making. You can have, collaboration across all levels. But if you don't look at sustainability, healthcare costs are going to continue to rise. There's not going to be a lot of benefit for the patient on the back end. Think about it. The United States has some of the most expensive healthcare services in the world. So if we don't get ahead of that, and if we don't really look at sustainability for future state, that's just going to continue to get higher and become even harder for people to access healthcare as needed. So I think from my perspective, sustainability in this entire process is probably one of the most concerning finds as we continue developing technologies, innovations, and putting them in the environment, and not really assessing the baselines regarding value add, the thresholds, the associated costs and applicability, and overall adoption across the multiple levels. So I do conclude with that, saying that I believe that sustainability needs to be researched much further, and I hope you enjoy the paper.